Do you want to climb your ranks and finish higher up in your mini leagues? Then here are some differentials for the final game week of the FPL season. Let's get into it. G'day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Roo, and welcome back to another FPL video. So this is the final video, or the final transfer tips video for game week 38 for the final game of the season. It's been a great season, and yeah, here are a few differentials you can bring in order to kind of chase them ranks, chase them mini leagues, and hopefully gain you some points in the last game week. A lot of people will be looking for that player that can make the difference. I know a lot of our teams will be similar with the double game weeks have just gone. So hopefully these players can help you climb the ranks, climb the mini leagues. We'll start off in goal. So first of all, I wouldn't be recommending making a goalkeeper transfer. Of course, if your rest of your team you're happy with, then go for it. But I don't feel like that's the spot that you can make up the most points. But for those of you that are looking for a keeper, definitely listen to this one. We'll be going through defenders, midfielders, and forwards later on in the video. We'll start off with Sam Johnston, the Palace goalkeeper. So they do have Forest at home. Forest have been terrible away from home this season, and potentially they could already be safe by then. So it's kind of a dead rubber game. Palace are not the best defensively, so they've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 6, so not too bad. A clean sheet every other game, and since kind of Roy Hodgson's come in, they have looked better. In terms of defensively, they've looked better and attacking. So you'll see another Palace player later on in the video, but definitely a good option. 1% owned, 4.4 million, and a good fixture in the final game week. A bit of a punt is Man City's second goalkeeper, so Ortega, I think is how you say it. 3.7 million, so one of the cheapest goalkeepers in the game. He did play a couple game weeks this season, so he played actually one. So he played game week 34, and I do fancy him to get a start in game week 38. Normally, when Pep has won the league and there's kind of dead rubber games, he would put Scott Carson in, who's the third choice keeper, just as like a thanks to say thank you for kind of training with us and being there and helpful in the dressing room throughout the whole season. But Man City do have the FA Cup and Champions League coming up, and Ortega is the cup goalkeeper for the FA Cup. So I feel like Pep will want to give him a game to kind of give him that game time to almost get a bit fresh. I know goalkeepers don't really need match fitness, but a game is not going to hurt. So I feel like Ortega will play that last game against Brentford away. He's 1.1% owned, and although City haven't been great defensively, Tony left Brentford and are not as dangerous as they would have been with Tony. So I can see them keeping a clean sheet in that one. Alisson is another keeper I've gone for. So he's 15.5% owned, so a little bit higher owned. But I don't think that is a big deal because I'm sure a lot of them teams are from the start of the season. Alisson is 5.4 million, and he has Southampton away, a relegated Southampton, and Liverpool have been doing really well defensively over the last 3 games. They've sort of kept 3 clean sheets in a row, and they're going to be fighting for the Champions League potentially if Man United don't win the next game. So I do think Alisson is a good choice if you do have that spare money. Pickford is another option. So 4.4 million, 5.7%. Everton are fighting for their lives. And Everton, they have a good fixture against Bournemouth at home in the final game of the season. Again, not the best defensively. Haven't kept a clean sheet since game week 32 and have shipped quite a few goals. But I'm sure if they need a win in the last game, they'll get a goal, even get 2 goals. They'll want to sit tight and hold that lead. So I think Pickford is a good choice, and he does get quite a few save points. So definitely a player to look at if you are looking to bring in a goalkeeper this week. If I had to pick one of these, I'd probably go for Ortega if you do have a sub goalkeeper that can come on if he doesn't play. If not, I think Sam Johnston is a really good option with Forest at home. Now we'll move on to the defenders. So I tried to go for attacking defenders, as you will be looking for that upside in this final game week. I've gone for Castagna. Yes, I know Leicester are terrible and they could potentially be relegated by then. But Castagna is very attacking, 4.3 million, only 5.3% owned. Yeah, Leicester are terrible and they ship so many goals, but Castagna can get attacking returns. So he's got 4 assists and 2 goals this season, which is pretty good um, for a Leicester fullback. And I feel like with West Ham at home, that is a good fixture for Leicester. West Ham will be concentrating on that Conference League, Europa Conference League final that they do have. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of rotation from West Ham, players not wanting to get injured just in case they miss that final as well. So I think Castagna can be a good option. Next up, we've got Kieran Tierney. So Zinchenko is probably going to be out until next season, and probably going to be Tierney's last game for Arsenal at home to Wolves. 4.6 million, under 1% owned, so a massive differential. We all know how good kind of Tierney can be, bombing up and down. Although he's only got 1 assist this season, he hasn't really played that much, and it's a perfect punt for the final game week of the season. Arsenal do have a great fixture, like I said, Wolves at home, and I think Tierney can do well with a clean sheet, and because Wolves don't score many goals and potential attacking returns. Another great option is Pedro Porro. So his Spurs career has been a bit of a mixed bag, but attacking wise, he is ridiculous. He's so attacking. He's almost playing as a right winger in this new kind of 3 at the back, 4 at the back system. Spurs kind of switch in transition. So when they're defensive, when they're attacking, I think it is, they're playing 4 at the back and then defensively 3 at the back. So he's kind of like a right winger almost when they're attacking. He does get assists, he does get goals. Although he only came in January, he's got 2 goals, 2 assists, which is pretty good. And he's missed a few games in that. They do have Leeds away. Leeds will be fighting for their lives if they're not already down. 4.8 million, 1% owned. I think it's just a perfect fixture for Pedro Porro. As a Spurs fan, I feel like Spurs always score goals against Leeds. I think we beat them 4-0 last season. We smashed them this season as well. And I feel like Pedro Porro is the perfect punt for game week 38 if you do need a defender slot. Another player who may not be as attacking, but Everton are going to be fighting for their lives. And who else but James Tarkowski to come up with a bullet header. Again, defensively, not the best, but he is that big aerial threat from corners, from set pieces. Although he's only got 1 this season, which was against Arsenal, and that did win the game. For 4.1 million, you can kind of afford to go for it. They do have Bournemouth at home, which is a pretty good fixture. Bournemouth will probably be on the beach, no pun intended. But yeah, Tarkowski is a good option. For me, I'd probably go for Pedro Porro. Although Spurs defensively are not good at all, probably terrible, if you could say. That attacking threat from Porro, playing kind of right mid, right wing, really, really advanced in this new kind of split formation. I think Porro is the perfect punt for game week 38. So we'll go to another Spurs player. So Heung-min Son, 11.5 million. So a bit expensive, but only 6.2% owned. And a lot of that would have been from the start of the season. As mentioned, Spurs do have Leeds away in the final game of the season. Again, Son's it's not been his best season, but he's still scored 10 goals and got 5 assists, albeit 9 of them attacking returns were in the last 10 games. So you could argue that he's on form. And that Leeds fixture, I feel like it's just set up perfect for a Spurs counter-attack. If Leeds need to win the game, they'll be pushing forward and they're literally probably going to be fighting for their lives. So that's the perfect team to play Spurs. And as I've just mentioned, Spurs normally batter Leeds. So I am hopeful that the Spurs players are good options this game week. Another option would be Eze, so Crystal Palace. Again, you'll see a theme. Some of the similar teams are coming up in this video. But since Roy came in, Palace have been scoring a bucket full of goals. And Eze has been doing especially well. He's got 2 goals in game week 36, just gone. And this is being recorded before game week 37. So he could potentially be scoring another goal as we speak. So I just think he's a great punt for that price point, 5.6 billion, 7.8%. With Forest at home, it seems like the perfect game week 38 punt for me. Another option is Trossard. So with Martinelli out until next season, Trossard is likely to be playing that left wing spot. If not, I feel like he could play down the middle too, but I feel like he will be playing that left wing spot. And for 6.6 million, 7.1% owned, I think he's another great player to bring in for game week 38 if that's your budget. Again, his season has been pretty good. 8 goals, 11 assists. Not all of them with Arsenal, obviously, with Brighton as well. Arsenal have a good fixture. Wolves at home. They'll likely want to send their fans off into the summer with a good performance. And Trossard, we know how good he can be, scoring, assisting. It seems like it's just set up for him to get a mega haul. And a kind of another player, which is almost a similar player to Trossard, maybe a bit more direct and a bit less, I'd say, clinical in front of goal, is Luis Diaz, so Liverpool winger, 7.8 million, 6.4% owned, Southampton away. He is back from injury and he has been starting most of Liverpool games over the last few game weeks. He did get benched in game week 35, but before that he's been starting the last 2 and 3. Again, not the best in terms of goals and assists, 4 goals, 2 assists, but this is why we call him punts at this stage of the season. But he has missed a lot of most of the season, really. And with Liverpool, with such a good fixture, potentially fighting for top 4, I think Diaz can be a good option. Darwin Núñez is potentially injured and we're not too sure on when he'll be back. So with that said, Diaz looks to have that spot almost nailed. I know Gakpo could play there with Firmino in the middle, but I feel like Diaz will play that game. For me, if I had to pick one of these, if you have the budget, I'd probably go for Son. If not, I think Trossard is a great pick for the final game week of the season. As I've mentioned earlier on in the video, Leicester do play West Ham, and West Ham do have that Conference League final coming up. With that being said, I feel like they will rest a few players. A few players will not want to get injured, kind of pull out of tackles if it's the 50-50 challenge. And if Leicester are fighting for their lives in that game, then I feel like they're going to be like gunning for blood, gunning for goals, gunning for the win. And Jamie Vardy is that sort of player that I think will dig deep when the time comes and Leicester need him to step up. Very expensive, 9.1 million, but obviously this season hasn't been great for him. He's missed a lot of games, 3 goals, 5 assists, so terrible in terms of like Vardy's normal goals and assists. But if Leicester are going to turn it around, I think Vardy is going to be the key to that. He has got 3 goal involvements in the last 5 games, so you could say he's on a bit of form. And like I said, if Leicester are going to do anything, Jamie Vardy will be up there and scoring the goals and being involved. He is 2% owned, so a massive differential. I'm sure no one near you in the ranks or in the leagues will have Vardy. So if you have the cash, then definitely look at Jamie Vardy. If not, Richarlison is a good option. There is a slight risk of Kulusevski playing on the right. And again, Richarlison, a player that has been pretty shocking this season. 1 Premier League goal, 5 assists. So it is a massive punt, but a lot of them kind of appearances for him have been off the bench. He's only started 12 Premier League games. So potentially, really, he's got a goal involvement every other Premier League start, which is not the best, but again, not too bad. Well, it is pretty bad to be honest, but you only want him for 1 game, so hopefully he can deliver for that. Like I said, Spurs score goals against Leeds, and if he is going to start, potentially we'll have some team news, as all the fixtures in the last game of the season are at the same time. So potentially we'll have some team news. So if he does start, then I think he will be a great punt for the last game week of the season, game week 38. Another player is Calvert-Lewin. So Everton, again, if they're fighting for their lives, have Bournemouth at home. At the moment, he is flagged, so he could potentially be injured. But with Bournemouth at home, fighting for their lives, you need players like Calvert-Lewin to step up and kind of be that focal point, get that goal. That's going to keep you up. 7.9 million is really expensive, but he is 0.3% owned, so virtually no one owns him. Since he's come back from his injury, he's done okay. 2 goal involvements in the last 3, so not too bad. And yeah, Everton kind of need him really to stay up. Another player, which is kind of complete opposite of Calvert-Lewin, is Bobby Firmino. So he will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. So this will be his last game for Liverpool. If they're still fighting for the top 4, then potentially he could not start, as they'll want to use their kind of strongest team and their best squad. But if not, I can see Bobby Firmino starting. He's just come back from injury, so that's the only thing to take into account. But let's not forget how he started the season. He's managed to get 9 goals, 4 assists, and he hasn't really played since game week 17. And if it is his last game, we know how great players can be in their last game for a club. Having said that, there is a potential thing that he doesn't start, so definitely keep in mind for the team use before the deadline. Follow me on Twitter, and I will be retweeting any early team use we do get. So at FPL Rue. If I had to pick out of these players, let's say they all start, I'd probably go for Bobby Firmino. Last game, we want to go off with a bang, give them Liverpool fans one more goal to celebrate, one more assist to celebrate. So I'd probably go for Bobby Firmino. If not, I feel like Jamie Vardy could be a great option. That was it for this video. I just want to say thanks to everyone that has watched so far this season. This is not going to be my last video of the season, but it will be my last transfer tips. Let me know below what transfers you're going for, what transfers throughout the season have helped you that I've mentioned. And if you have got this far in the video, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and smash the video like on your way out. And good luck for your differential punt for game week 38.